So hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video where today we're finally gonna take a quick look at the Incarnon Sibear. You can get the Incarnon adapter for the Sibear from the Steelpot version of the Circuit game mode. Once you have the adapter and the Sibear of course, you can take them over to Cavallero in the Chrysalith to combine them, but this does require some additional resources. You will need 20 Patos Clamp, which you get from the Autoworm boss fight, 70 Drackroot, which grows in Kullervo's Holt and on the central islands of the Paradox, and 80 Conlas Sprouts, which is a flower that grows around the Lunaro quartz in the Paradox. This allows you to evolve the weapon and it unlocks its Incarnon mode. Now to activate the Incarnon mode, you first have to build up to 6x combo and then do a heavy attack. This gives you a 3-minute buff that increases your melee damage by 100%, it gives you 50% heavy attack wind-up speed, it boosts your sprint speed by 10%, and you also get a 10% faster bullet jump. It also creates an icy field whenever you slam with it, which is basically just a fancy way of saying that it will proc cold on enemies with a slam. Now, before you can evolve the weapon and take advantage of all the buffs that provides, you're gonna have to do a few things with it. So firstly, you're gonna have to finish a solo mission with the Sibear, then you have to activate its Incarnon mode 6 times in missions, and finally you have to kill 30 enemies that are affected by the lifted status effect. The evolution options you get are actually pretty cool. The first one has you choose between Master's Shatter, which gives you damage and then additional combo on enemies affected by cold procs, and Thane's Wrath, which gives you damage and then additional damage if you have over 450 armor. The second choice is between Orokin Reach for range, Kinetic Harmony for heavy attack wind-up speed, and Resolute Force for extra 6 seconds of combo duration. And last but not least, we have a choice between Mounting Avalanche, where if you kill an enemy that has 3 or more cold procs on them, you get 15 initial combo for 10 seconds, and it stacks up to 4 times for a total of 60 initial combo. Absolute Valor for 25% extra crit chance, and Red Right Hand, where when you switch to it from a primary, you get extra 2 times combo multiplier on the first hit. Now, I've tried a bunch of different setups on the Incarnon Sibear, but the one I ended up liking the most was one that runs Thane's Wrath for just a ton of extra flat damage. Then Orokin Reach, because hammers don't actually have that much base range, and I topped it off with Absolute Valor for a ton of extra crit. However, that is for a non-slam setup. There's actually a heavy slam setup that you can do with the Sibear, which is surprisingly strong, but it's difficult to set up and keep going, and it's also very unreliable. Like, the damage I was getting on just normal enemies was between 5,000 and 500,000, and I'm not really sure why. I think it has to do with the hitbox of the heavy slam. So sometimes you hit them in the head and get Jesus damage, sometimes you hit them in the body and you do okay damage, and sometimes you just hit them with a radio damage. So just try it out and see if it works for you or not. But anyway, the build I ended up using was this one right here with Crushing Ruin, which is my preferred stance for hammers, and then we have Condi Overload for damage, Berserker Fury for attack speed, Blood Rush for scaling, Crit Chance, Virulent Scourge, and then Vicious Frost for Viral, because you need to run both, otherwise you're gonna get gas. Followed by Molten Impact for a bunch of heat damage, and then Weeping Wounds for scaling status, and Organ Shatter for crit damage. Now, the damage this does is actually surprisingly high because of the base flat damage and base crit chance you get from the evolutions, as well as the 100% increased melee damage you get from Incarnon mode. It ended up doing way more damage than I expected it to. Now, you could also just do a heavy attack setup. You don't necessarily have to slam if you don't want to, but I tend to prefer light attack setups over heavy attack setups. So overall, I like the Incarnon Sibear. It's pretty good for an Incarnon melee weapon because generally the Incarnon melees are not quite as good or as exciting as the Incarnon guns, but I definitely wouldn't prioritize it over something like the Boltor. The slam setup is kinda cool, though as I mentioned already, somewhat unreliable in its damage output, and both a light attack setup as well as a heavy attack setup will do absolutely fine in the vast majority of the game. So basically, pick it up if you like the Sibear because it juices it up quite a bit. And that is pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching. As always guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video and found it helpful. If you'd like to support the channel, you can check out the memberships and stuff down below, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.